Welcome everyone to another episode of Hobby and Chat. I am the Twinnedcoot, and with me again is Age of Nagash.
Hi guys, again it's good to be on this channel, and we're going to have a little bit of a chat to see what hobby we've been up to and if there's been any news from Games Workshop lately, which there has been just a little bit.
Yeah, so like I said, we're discussing Age of Sigmar and kind of predominantly NOVAopen. That was a really big Warhammer, or really just miniatures gaming event on the East Coast of the United States. I think the biggest one on the East Coast. And yeah, it was a lot of stuff to talk about. I was in the Age of Sigmar Doubles tournament, which is more for fun for me, but there's a lot of GTs and stuff going on, a lot of big name gamers over here playing, and yeah, but before we do that, why don't we just talk about painting and gaming progress. Have you done anything Agent Nagash lately?
Yeah, I've been trying to fit in as much hobby as I can lately, so I've had a couple of games lately, which were with my Flesh Eater Courts, both against Chaos. One was against Blades of Khorne, and then the next one was against Slaves of Darkness. And yeah, that was good fun. It's been slow trying to get games lately, to be honest. But every time I've been playing my Flesh Eater Courts to try and build on my experience with them in the new edition. And I am really liking how they are in the new edition, especially with Crypt Horrors compared to what I used to take with my Crypt Flayers. An example of this is something I really had quite fun playing with is in the game I had 9 Crypt Horrors, which was it's not a huge amount, but in one unit that's quite a lot, and I had it so they were within 15 inches of a Ghoul King to reroll failed hit rolls, and that Ghoul King was on a zombie dragon as well, so he had a spell called Feeding Frenzy, which made the Crypt Taurus be able to reroll failed wound rolls. So they also had a spell on them called Dark Hunger, which gave them an extra attack. So just to put that in perspective, these unit of 9 Crypt Taurus were making 4 attacks each. The champion was making 5, and they were hitting on 4s, rerolling all failed hit rolls, wounding on 3s, rerolling all failed hit rolls. Any wound rolls of a 6 did 3 damage, and then any other normal wound rolls would do 2 damage. And the reason I'm talking about it is because that's the first time I've managed to kill like a block of 30 Chaos Warriors in 2 rounds of attacks. So wow, that's quite exciting for me lately in the hobby.
Yeah, the horrors they're pretty great. My friend has been playing his Flesh Eater Court army. He's been he just kind of got it, so he's trying out pretty much everything. I think he probably should steer towards the horrors as well, but he's trying a bunch of ghouls with the Ghoul King and the courtiers. So he just is trying to regen as many ghouls as possible. And I think he took the battalion, was it Ghoul Patrol, where you can get extra ghouls. Yeah, that all seems pretty good, but I think the horrors need to be included too.
Yeah, I agree. The ghouls are good, and similarly, haven't always been a big fan of the ghouls, not because I don't like them. I do like the models and stuff, but I prefer more elite armies because essentially there's less things to paint. But I did give the ghouls a go in that game as well. I had like a block of 40 of them, and they did manage to kill, if I can remember, 5 Chaos Knights, a Chaos Sorcerer Lord or Manticore, and they also killed a Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, which was quite nice, especially how they got attacked first as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, how many? You can get a lot of ghoul attacks pumped out on each model, can't you? It's like 4 or 5 or something.
It's crazy. You can like really build it up high like that, but I wasn't doing any spells giving any extra attacks, so it was basically just what they had in their war scroll. But they had 2 attacks each standard, and then because they were a unit of 20 or more, they got an extra attack. So each model is making 3 attacks. To hit a 4, to wound a 4 as well. No Rend 1 damage, but when they're making this many attacks, and you're right, if I wanted to give them some more, I could do a Dark Hunger spell from a Ghoul King, and that would give them an extra attack, so then they would be making 4 attacks, and then that's where things get really, really nasty. And I did really just bring them just to have a big block of infantry to move up the board and to take an objective, which essentially they did to start with. And then they sort of got drawn into these combats, and I was really surprised to see how well they did, and they came out on top. So yeah, they are a really good addition, obviously, to the Flesh Eater Court army, and I'm sure there's many people who have been playing with them. And I haven't done the Ghoul Patrol Battalion yet, but it is something I do want to try in the future, especially with how good its name is.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I'm somewhat like Flesh Eater Courts after my experience with them in the new edition. I am really liking their playstyle. I really like their... Something I found to be quite good was their once per game Ghoul King command ability. Will cost you a command point, but it will summon a unit onto the board, and that unit is free the first time you do it. So that's been really well. I've basically been building my normal sort of army list, which I usually play with, but I'll take the Bargolf Courtier out, which is a 160 point model, and I'll bring it on in the game for the price of one command point, and that's it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and there's that command trait that you can use it twice. I think at the FAQ it specifically says you can use that to summon a second unit.
But do you have to pay points for that second unit, though?
I didn't think so.
Okay. If that is the case, I'm happy, but I am quite sceptical, as always. But no, if that's the case, yeah, sure. I might as well just bring on, like, if it's 2 Vargolfs you're talking about, 320 points worth of models.
Oof, yeah, that's really good.
It is, and so that's like the sort of changes to the Flesh Eater Courts, and then just the new game system, the new edition, just makes it so much. I say so much harder for the enemy to snipe out your heroes. I don't know about so much, but it definitely does make your guys more survivable with the Lookout Serval. And especially something I noticed as well, once you bog a enemy shooting unit down in combat, they can only shoot essentially anything within 3 inches of them. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah, the changes to the new edition have massively helped out the Flesh Eater Courts.
I think with the character thing, it didn't really protect them, but it kind of deterred people from trying to shoot at them. So they'll shoot at them less because, I don't feel like dealing with them -1 modifier.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think some people see it now if they were to target a hero and to be -1 to hit. I don't know, let's say they were normally hitting on 4s, but now they want to shoot their hero, they're going to be hitting on 5s, and that's something, like you say, can really deter them away from shooting at your heroes and more sort of just focus fire onto your other units. And if the enemy wants to do that, and let's say they don't have an overwhelming amount of shooting, if they want to pepper your Crypt Horrors or your Ghouls or your Crypt Flares, sure, they can do that, but they're not more than likely going to wipe out that unit. And then, of course, anyone who plays Flesh Eater Courts or have played against them before will know all those models will just come back.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you gotta, with the Ghouls, I found that you really have to hammer them down to the model. You have to kill every single one, or they're just going to regenerate.
Yeah, you do really have to do that, and especially now how if the Flesh Eater Court player has been saving up their command points, and let's say they have a unit of 40 ghouls, it's taken a crazy amount of damage this turn. Let's say it's lost 30 of its models, so it only has 10 models there. Battle Shock, it's going to run away. But if you saved up those command points, that Flesh Eater Court player can just go Inspiring Presence.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they've got the next turn, let's just say, then they know that they have the safety of bringing back those models if they've got all their heroes in place. And there is also a battalion called the King's Ghoul, I believe, which makes your units within that battalion, which are 2 units of Crypt Ghouls and a unit of Crypt Horrors, and a what's his name? The basically the little Crypt Ghoul Courtier version. They're the models that are in this battalion, and if you take this battalion, you do not have to take Battleshock tests for those units while they are within your territory, which depends what mission you're playing, how big your territory is, but if it can sometimes be half the board, that's a huge area not to have to take Battleshock tests.
Yeah, right.
Because like you say, the enemy is going to focus fire. If they've played against Flesh Eater Courts before, they are going to just go, right, I know these guys, they're going to come back, I'm just going to fire everything I have at them, try and wipe them out. And even if they leave one model when you go Inspiring Presence and then it's your turn next and you can bring back all those models, will really, really annoy your enemy, which is the funnest part. But yeah, so they're the sort of games I've been having. So what have you been playing?
Yeah, well, actually, I've gotten a lot of painting done. I've been painting kind of like a madman this last month. Gotten like 29 skinks, Bale and Vortex, a display board, a Baleful Realm Gate, like 40 Fyreslayers, um, 8 Salamanders, and 5 Razordons. There might be more, but I painted so much stuff this last few weeks. It's really really burned me out. But it was all for this Nova tournament I've been doing, or I was preparing for the Nova Doubles. I got a couple practice games in with that. We couldn't find 2 people to play against, so I just took control of the team army, and then my friend played. He played Fleshier Quartz one of the times, and it did pretty well. Actually, I last week the doubles tournament was 2 days ago on Friday. Last week I was doing a war scroll review between the Salamanders and the Razordons. I haven't put it up yet, but I realized that the Razordons were a little bit better than I was giving them credit for, and I kind of wished that in that tournament specifically I would have switched my 2 units of 4 Salamanders to 2 units of 4 Razordons, but it was kind of too late to do it at that point. But so the armies we took was he took Fyreslayers. He had 2 Battlesmiths and 2 units of 30 Volkite Berserkers. So they're super durable. They're in combat with the Battlesmiths reroll save ability. They have a 4-up, 4-up, and then a 4-up. Like they're just saving like everything. They're so durable. Yeah, so there's 30 of those guys, and they just last forever. I think he lost out of 3 games. I think he lost 1 unit of Volkites once. Every other time they're just taking a beating and just staying there forever. But for the Battlesmiths, he took the command trait that lets him do a rune on a 5-up, which I don't think ever came into play. That's pretty nice to have. And then the artifact, you could take malign sorcery artifacts. So he chose the realm of Haish, and there's an artifact in there called the Lens of Refraction, I think is what it's called. And it's a 6-inch bubble, and it reduces enemy spell damage by D3. So if you get hit by D3 mortal wounds, you roll a D3 and you reduce that amount by that much. So it's basically like nullifying all D3s or 1 damage. Like Arcane Bolt, like literally can't hurt you anymore. But any of the D3 items just get reduced, and that was pretty helpful. Set that next to the Volkite, so they would get the reduction, and then they would have their 4-up beard save, feel no pain, whatever you like to call it. That was really cool. A lot of people were kind of surprised about that because, I mean, I just was going through the artifacts and Blind Sorcery book, and that one really stuck out to me.
Yeah, that is. It really just sort of shows just how durable the Fyreslayers can be, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. And so, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I haven't really played much against many Fyreslayers myself, so especially not on a sort of tournament level. So it is really quite interesting to see just how durable they can be.
Yeah, they were so sturdy. My army was a Slan Mage Priest, Balewind Vortex, a Chronomatic Cog, 2 units of 10 Skinks, 2 units of 4 Salamanders, and an Astrolith Bear. Oh, and 1 unit of Skink Handlers. But yeah, I was like, wait, there's going to be a lot of Nighthaunt players, so the Salamander's Rend is really not going to be helpful. I really should have chose 2 units of 4 Razordons. So my whole army was based around summoning, and I was summoning in Razordons because I only had 5 of them ready to go. I was summoning Bastiladons, Razordons. Mostly just choose the shooting stuff because I want something, when it's summoned, I want it to do something now. I don't want to have to rely on a 9-inch charge. I had the cogs there, and I usually 2 out of 3 games I did get the constellation that gives me +1 to run and charge. So I could potentially be +3 to charge, which is cool for combat units, but I still have to rely on a charge, and I'd rather just shoot stuff. And I like the Razordons, like the Salamanders. Yeah, but the Razordons are really good. So first game we played against it was Tzeentch and Seraphon, another summoning army, plus Tzeentch he had a unit of 30 Zangors, which have 2 wounds. I don't know how I overlooked that, but they have 2 wounds, and they are super durable, and they're pretty offensive too. they hit a unit of Volkites, and on first turn, the Volkites actually charged them, and they just sat in combat. The two of them just sat in combat forever, and by the end of it, there was like 15 Zangors and like 2 Volkites. So the Zangors won, but they didn't finish the unit, so it was kind of still a stalemate. The Salamanders and the Bastildon, they shot down the Slan pretty early, so that was great. And then the other objective was held by the other Volkite unit. And then last turn we did this. So it was the battle plan where it's 1 objective in your court, and then 2 in the middle, and then 1 on the other side. And you have to try to get the other person's objective because it's worth more points, and the ones in the middle are worth more points then. And we were ahead, but on the last turn, I teleported a unit of 4 Salamanders, Astaroth Bearer, and summoned in a Bastildon and a Razordon all on the other side of the board, and just shot his Arcanites that were holding an objective that they thought they were safe because they were just sitting back there the whole game. Summoned all this stuff back there, shot them dead, and took the objective. So that was really cool. So that was a win for us for that first one. Second game was against Double Nurgle, which, oh man, that was pretty brutal. Watching 2 people get up those contagion points off the other person's models. So like one guy had Archeon, the other guy had Great Unclean One. Archeon ran into our territory first turn, and then both of them were getting extra contagion points because Archeon was in our territory. We got kind of bogged down by Archeon, the Great Unclean One, just kind of like red herring, just ran at us, and got kind of distracted with that. And just fighting those 2 the whole game, basically, and they were just scoring objectives. That battle plan was the one where you can burn a Scorched Earth, where you can burn the other person's objectives. And Archeon came in, killed 2 units of 10 skinks, and we weren't expecting that. So, I'm sorry. One more thing in the Fyreslayers army, we forgot it like most of the game, but 3 Chosen Axes because he had 40 points left over. So we just threw the Shadespire team in there, and they were mildly helpful. Usually they did absolutely nothing, but 40 points. Yeah, right. It was either 40 points or nothing. I mean, whatever. But so Archeon charged in and killed the 2 units of Skinks, and the Chosen Axes weren't close enough to the objective, so Archeon burned it that turn. That was upsetting. And then, actually the second turn he burned it, because you can't burn things first turn. And then they just proceeded to fly into the Volkite Berserkers. But 1 unit of Volkite Berserkers were in combat with Archeon and the Great Unclean One for like 3 turns or something. They were totally fine. They never died. They were up there the whole time. I don't know how. And another thing I forgot to mention, we were fighting in the realm of Ulgu this whole tournament, which I thought was... At first I was like, oh man, realm stuff. I don't want to deal with this. But actually it was really cool because... because the first realm magic effect, whatever, was reducing spells and shooting to 18 inches. And then the second one was reducing spells and shooting to 12 inches. So the last one had no restriction. But that was actually really cool for a tournament, I feel like, because it forces... You can't just abuse shooting. You have to have some combat in there. You can... In 2 of the 3 games, you can kind of do some damage, but that one where you're fighting at 12 inches, you really can't rely on a heavy shooting army to do all your heavy lifting right there. So I thought that was really cool for game balance. I actually like that a lot. But and then you also get the Ulgu spells, which are a very slate of good spells. One of them is Enfeebling to reroll wound rolls on a target with all your units. So I had the Slan teleport in a little bit with Lords of Space and Time. Even though he was on the Balewind, he can teleport with Lords of Space and Time. Got him closer to Archeon, hit him with Enfeebling. Actually, I failed the first time, and I was very, very upset because I rolled. My rolling the whole day was not great. But the next time I tried Enfeebling on Archeon, and then surrounded him with 2 units of 4 Salamanders and 5 Razordons, And I threw a picture up on my Instagram. I was really happy with that moment in the tournament. But they just like all my raptors just like surrounded Archeon, just shot him to death, and then charged him and just finished him off. And it was really cool because I could reroll my win rolls. That was what did it though.
Yeah, that does sound like some pretty good games. And I know what you mean about the dice rolling. Yeah, happens to the best of us. There was one game I went to my last tournament, which, to be fair, is probably about couple months ago, 3 months ago. It was the Heat 3 of the Sigma Grand Tournament at Warhammer World, and in one game I had was the Scorched Earth one, so it's the one where you burn your enemy objectives, and I think it was on turn 3, on battle round 3, my elite army, which basically had Nagash and all of his monstrous friends, got destroyed to I only had Nagash and a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon left, and I had to keep this Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon back on one of my objectives to hold it. And I was like, the only way I'm gonna do this is if I can destroy all 3 of the enemy's objectives in the only 3 turns I have left with Nagash. So and when I was to do it, I would have to the last objective I was to burn, I'd have to roll on the D3 a 5 and a 6 to get 3 points to win. So I was like, this is really, really hard, but I'm going to give it a go because I don't really have any options. So the Gash moved up. He destroyed all 3 of those objectives in the 3 turns. Was really, really happy, just like, painstakingly. Like, he's really good, but the enemy was holding like I think like anywhere between like 10 to 20 models on each objective. So it was really sort of quite hard for him to try and destroy each of those units to gain control of that objective, because remember, Nagash is great, but he is only one model to try and catch that objective. So he burned all 3 of those objectives, and then on the last one where I was like, I really need to get a 5 and 6 here to get 3 points to try and take over the enemy, in points. And how it works is, if I got a 5 and 6, I would have got 3 points, so I would have overtaken the enemy. If I got a 3 to 4, I would have got 2 points, so I would have drawn with the enemy. And then if I got a 1 and 2, I would have got 1 point and I would have just lost. So I rolled that famous D3 and I got a 1. So unfortunately, it's like painstakingly for like the last hour, and I only had one huge model trying to do all the work for me. But that was I think I've talked about this before on my channel, that game, but I can wholeheartedly say there was that, and there was another really close game that tournament, but that was probably my favourite game the whole tournament. It was out of the 5 games, I lost 2 of them, and that one I lost there was my favourite. And that might seem a bit odd, but I'm sure you'll agree it's always the close games, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
that are the best ones by far.
Yeah. So the second game we lost. Like I said, we were kind of just distracted with trying to kill the big guys, and he was holding the objectives. So the third game was against Double Death, and it was Nighthaunt and Legion of Blood. So they had some cheeky combinations, which I didn't foresee at first. They had, like every Nighthaunt army there, they had 30 Grimghast Reapers. They also had some chain rasps. But so they moved the Grimghast up, pretty much charged us first turn because we were trying to keep them out of the objectives. This one was what was this? I don't remember the battle plan's name, but it was interesting. It's actually the first time I played it. It was the one where it's 3 objectives on either side, and for every turn you hold it, you get so many points, and then you have to break it. You have to destroy the objective, and you get that many points. You don't score anything unless you've held it and broken an objective. I don't know if you played that one, but
I haven't played that. I presume that's one of the new ones, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Only did that once, so I don't know how. It seems like a weird concept, but it was fun. Anyway, they moved up the the Grimghasts, and the 30 of them, and I moved up my salamanders and stuff, and the Volkites just held them for a while. Then while I was shooting at them, killed the unit of Grimghast chain. Oh my gosh!
Don't worry, you're not the only one who does that. We will do it. They're getting towards Stormcast names now. They all sound the same.
Right? Yeah, I'll just say the Reapers. killed the unit of 30 Reapers, and then a couple turns later, they're like, all right, we're going to use our grave sites to bring back our Night Haunt Reapers. And I was like, no, are you kidding me? No. And yeah, and that was legal because, I mean, we talked to the TO because he was trying to use the grave sites on them to just heal back D3 models. I was like, I don't think we should do that. Because if you look at it, so if Legion and Nagash takes an ally, they can't use their grave sites on them. But in this team game, this other Night Haunt...
It counts as the same army, doesn't it?
Right, yeah. They got to use the grave sites, and they even got to get resurrected by the grave sites. So they brought a whole unit of 30 Reapers back. Oh, I was so upset. I was so mad at them. But
I know what you mean. Like, you can't foresee those things. Like when I went to a doubles tournament, I fought against a Zeech and Blades of Khorne player, and obviously Khorne would not be happy with that sort of combination. But it was at a doubles tournament, and the Destiny dice were being used for the Bloodthirster, which I was like, it's fine. Like I took some horrible things to that tournament. Don't get me wrong, but Khorne would not be happy with that sort of arrangement. I don't think.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it was a brutal combination. They were just healing back their Night Haunt stuff. Another combination he had was really good. Not really a combination, but he had a Vampire Lord on Dragon, or no, it was on a Terrorgeist. Was it Dragon? No, I guess it had
Vampire Lord, yeah, Zombie Dragon.
Yeah, right. So he was on the Dragon, and he had it was a Gur Feather for -1 to hit and +1 something. I think it was like +1 attack or something like that. And then he also had the Legion of Blood command trait that was -1 to hit. So he was -2 to hit in combat and shooting. Oh my god, it was so, we could not kill him. I tried again on my last turn just for the fun, surround him with my Salamanders and Razordons. I rolled really bad on that one, but didn't kill him. Got him down to like 7 wounds or something like that. But -1 to hit is so rough, or -2 to hit is so rough. There's the Legion of Sacrament item that I always use. That's -2 to hit outside of 8 inches for shooting, obviously. But this one was -2 at all points in time, and it was just, oh man, it was just too much.
Oh yeah, combinations like that. I mean, I'm sure you said you played against Double Nurgle. You must have came across something similar to that in that game with -2 to hit and stuff. But yeah, it's nasty, but like we all do horrible things. Like for example, when I took that Nagash to a tournament, there was a little Khan Wraith, which is a fantastic model for 60 points. Just hugged him in every single game because he had an artifact that made the enemy within, I think, 6 inches of him, -1 to wound, and then the Gash would do that overwhelming dread spell, making the enemy -1 to hit, and then sometimes doing it, like overcasting it, and making them -2 to hit. So there's horrible combinations. I think, talking about -to hit, I think the biggest time I played against that was when I fought in a doubles tournament. I fought against a Nurgle joint with a Slaanesh army. And I think there was a point when I was attacking his general and I was trying to figure out how I was -4 to hit at that point.
Whew, wow.
That's why mortal wounds are there.
Yeah,
right. Those things. But yeah, sorry, what you were saying.
Yeah, so we lost that last game, but it was a lot of fun. All the players we played were nice guys. It was each game was a lot of fun, and so it was a good time. We had to get going because my friend wasn't feeling that great, so I didn't really get to see. I kind of missed the announcements on who won, but I'm looking at the BCP player app to see. And so the guy who won the team who won was Tzeentch, Disciples of Tzeentch, and Ironjaws, actually. And that was one thing I was surprised by. I saw so many tables of Gorgruntas on the field. I thought they weren't that competitive anymore, but I guess they're still doing pretty well. Or maybe just in that setting.
Gorgruntas, as far as I'm aware, from what I've heard from people say, is that when they used to be 180 points, which I believe was in the first General's Handbook, that's how many points they were, so they're the same points like a unit of 5 brutes. They weren't really worth taking, like brutes or hard boys are better. But now that they've been made, don't quote me on this, but it's either 160 points or I think it might be 140 points. Now they became cheap.
Yeah, it's 140.
It's 140. a lot of people are starting to take them because they're that speed the army needs, and they're if you look at them, like their charge bonus, it's a bit of a joke. They don't do a huge amount of like multiple damage attacks really at all, but they do make a lot of attacks.
Yeah, and so these were in the Gore Fist, so obviously they got an extra move, I think, before the game or something like that. Either way, they're charging you first turn is the gimmick of that. So the army was a War Chanter, 3 units of Gore Gruntas, one was a unit of 6, and 2 units were 3. So you had 12 Gore Gruntas, and then the Gore Fist. And then some of this list is cut off, but it looks like actually a Auric War Boss is what that is. And his command ability affects all Auric units within 12 inches. They get an extra attack, which is with all their melee weapons. Oh my god, that's really good with Gore Gruntas.
Yeah,
so they're all getting each model is getting 2 extra attacks because they have the mount and then them. And then they have the Great Wa Banner.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, reroll wound rolls of 1 for the Auric units. Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Yeah, why wouldn't you take it? It's really, really good.
Yeah, so the War Chanter, I think he gives him an extra attack too, I think is what he does. 1 unit or something like that. The Disciples of Tzeentch army was a Zangor Shaman, 9 Skyfires, and 2 units of 10 Acolytes. So obviously it was a Skyfires, 660 points in Skyfires. So yeah, it looks like Gore Gruntas just ran in first turn, tied things up, Skyfires ran in and shot stuff.
That sounds like quite a cool combination. I haven't thought anything like that before. When you said it was Tzeentch, I was expecting to say like join with another Chaos army, but no, that's quite. You can see how they both they're sort of kind of opposites to each other, so they work out quite well, I imagine.
Yeah, right. That was pretty good polarities. I won't go through the whole list, but the second player was Nagash and Daughters of Cain. He actually took Nagash too. It was a Grand Host of Nagash. One thing to note about that is since we're in Ulgu, the Umbral Spell Portal, I was really scared about Nagash getting hold of one of those. Because in Ulgu, you can put the second Spell Portal wherever you frickin' want. So you just sit it next to a character and bring the Hand of Fate out, just kill it half the time.
Does it not have to be like a certain distance away from the enemy or anything, or is it just...
No, this second portal goes anywhere.
Yeah, I think I've seen a meme for that before, yeah. Is it as easy as that? Like, can he just do that and hands it? I suppose he can.
Yep. Yeah, because the Ulgu thing is I think it's 18 inches normally. The 2 portals have to be from each other, but with Ulgu it doesn't have a limit. So yeah, if we were ready to fight that. If we were going to fight it, we'd just surround the Slan Mage Priest with Volkites, so he couldn't even sit the.
So you couldn't physically put it there.
Right. Yeah, that was our plan.
Yeah, that's a good plan. Use actual. Yeah, I suppose that's the only thing you can do about it, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Because you're not gonna unbind him unless you've got like an artifact or a crazy amount of buffers to your unbinding.
Yeah, and that was another thing. The Slan, he can unbind anywhere. He has 3 spells to unbind, and I unbound 1 spell the whole tournament, and they were using 3 or 4 spells every game, every hero phase. I just could not roll any unbind rolls.
Oh, that's annoying. Because obviously with the Slan, they have that great thing of not needing to be within 30 inches now, is it?
Right. Yeah. Yep. But still had a lot of fun. The Slan was cool. I liked. I wish I had Razordon instead of Salamanders, but still, it was a cool sight to see. Whenever I had my Salamanders are converted Seraphon cold ones, so that the big goofy dog looking ones I converted into Salamanders, and then the very cool looking Salamanders for the very cool looking cold ones for the Dark Elves. I take them to make my Razordons. I just green stuff, some spikes on their back. I was really happy with them. I did them in one night, so probably could have taken more time with them, but I didn't. And people actually like them. The Dark Elf cold one models are just so cool looking. Doesn't matter what you do to them; they're just gonna still look cool.
Yeah, they are. Also, it's a shame that the Seraphon or the Lisman back then didn't get those models.
Right, we got those big goofy guys.
Yeah, I just how does the the Dark Elf ones, they are nice, but they are smaller, aren't they? Like, do the like the Cold One Knights fit on top of them quite well, or?
Well, I'm not. I don't know. I've they probably do. They probably are a little bit big for the Source Warriors. Are probably a little bit big for the Dark Elf Cold ones. But I was just using them as Razordons and Salamanders, so none of them had a mount. They're just like raptors running around. I thought it was really cool looking when they got all together.
Oh, you use those? Oh, right, yeah, that works out well.
Yeah, I'll throw some pictures up on this video, but yeah, I thought they looked really cool. Yeah, so I was gonna mention that was pretty much my time with the Nova tournament. A lot of cool boards too, a lot of cool display boards. There's also a lot of Daughters of Cain there. A lot of people had Marathi, a lot of people had Snake Ladies. Yeah, so that was another thing I saw. Night Haunt, Daughters of Cain, Stormcast, Zinch. Yeah, pretty much the common things you'll see at a tournament.
How did the Stormcast do? Like top 10 sort of stuff?
I didn't look through all the lists, but they weren't in the top 3, so I didn't get further than that really.
Okay, that's interesting. But no, and it's an interesting thing you were saying, going back to you said you prefer Salamanders, but you think, well, against Nighthorn that was going to be popular at this tournament, raised on to be better because the Salamanders ren's not really going to come into it. It's interesting to see that because, like, if I was to look at both their war scrolls, I would personally think that the Salamanders they're just better. They've got better attacks. They just generally have a better war scroll, but it's comparing them against the meta that makes the Raised-Ons a bit better, doesn't it? Like, it's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, and I'll throw like I said, I was working on a war scroll review, a kit compare between the two, and I went into it. Spoiling it right here, but I went into it like totally Team Salamander. I was like, I might as well compare them. Like, they're like models, so let's just compare them. But by the end, after I did like the math for it, I was like, oh my god, Razordons are very close, and then Razordons are a little bit more all-purpose than the Salamanders. And the main problem with Salamanders, at least in my practice games, I did fine. I rolled good damage rolls, but you're relying so much on the damage roll. And what I was doing before, I had a Skink Starseer in there, which allowed me. He had 2 different abilities. One would give me up to 6 rerolls through some shenanigans, but give me up to 6 rerolls. And then also there's a spell where you can increase or decrease a roll by 1. So I put that on my big unit of Salamanders. I had the rerolls ready. So if I rolled a bad wound roll, like I got a 2 in there, I would just pump it up to a 3 with the Curse of Fate spells on the Starseer. And then if I rolled bad damage rolls, I would use my rerolls right there. And I wouldn't get bad damage rolls. But they actually FAQ'd that like right before the tournament. So I was like, oh my god, they totally ruined my Starseer. I'm really upset about that. I think I complained last time, but I'm still really upset.
Yeah, but it's like that's why you took him, isn't it? It's like, now why'd you... And I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't looked at like his updated war score or anything, so I don't know anything much about him. But when I fought against them, that's the cool thing about him. It's like its own mini game, but I imagine that mini game's not there anymore, is it?
Right. Yeah, it's just a D6 roll, and you get on a 1, the other person gets a command point. On a 2 up, you get a command point. So like, wow, whoopee.
Command points are, and don't get me wrong, I mean that might work out to be better in the game, but it's not as fun, is it?
No. And actually, I don't think it's better because at least for me, I don't run the Source heroes, so I don't really care about command points. Really, I almost never use my command points in those games because I just have the Slan and then the generic ones. But so yeah, during the tournament, I was rolling really bad damage rolls, and like obviously that's going to happen sometimes. So like you can't rely on that 1d6 that's like absolutely pivotal to how much damage you do to the opponent. So I really would have rather. The Razordons also rely on a d6, but it's actually 2d6 they rely heavily on. They rely heavily on their output of attacks, which is 2d6. So if you get a low roll there, you have another chance to balance it out. Whereas the Salamander has 1 attack, you have to get through hit, wound, and then you have to roll a good damage. And you have to make it through the save. So it's just too many points of failure for the Salamanders, I realized.
Yeah, by the sounds of things, the Razordons are just that much more reliable, aren't they? Like the Salamanders, when you look at their war score, they look a bit more exciting, but on the average, when it comes down to that D6, I mean, the most common thing I have to do with D6s is probably when I use a zombie dragon or a Terrorgeist, and they have that big free attack that is their maul that will do -2 rend d6 damage, and you think automatically, me anyway, when I see d6, obviously I'm thinking of a 6 in my head. I'm thinking the best possible outcome. And there's a lot of times when you use it in games when you roll the dice and it's only a 1 or a 2, and it's really, like you say, it just brings down the reliability, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll put that kit compare out probably this week or next week or something. But yeah, that's my experience for the AoS Doubles. I did want to real quick, since I got the BCP player app up, I wanted to just mention who was. I'm not sure if this tournament is over yet, the Age of Sigmar GT, but I did want to say that Daughters of Cain are in first right now, followed by Grand Host and Nagash, and then Maggotkin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this first list, it has, or the Daughters of Cain list, it's a Bloodrack Medusa, 2 Hag Queens, Marathi herself, Slaughter Queen on Cauldron of Blood, so that's like 800 points in characters or more. Like, no, way more than 800. Like 1,000 probably. Their troops are 2 units of 20, 2 units of 30 Witch Elves, and a unit of 10, and then 3 units of Canary Heartrenders, which are they're the ones that they're the combat ones. Yeah, the shield and scythe ones. Which I always thought the javelin ones were cooler because you get to shoot with them when they deploy from reserves. You get to shoot with them, and on a 4-up, you get to move. So you could shoot, and then half the time you get to move, and then you can still charge. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why you take the Heartrenders, but I know they're better in combat. They can pump out a lot more, but you have to rely on that 9-inch charge now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't looked at Daughters of Cain for a long time since I wanted to do them, but I might do them in the future. So it's interesting to hear they're doing well here. But when I did look at them, I was thinking about, I can't remember their names, even though you just said it. The harpies that throw spears, as I'm going to call them, for me, they sound like the better ones because, like you say, they come down and you're not relying on that 9-inch charge. They can at least do something when they come down that turn.
Yeah, and maybe there's something I'm overlooking. Maybe there's something to give them extra charge, or maybe they're just there to grab objectives.
Maybe
that's all they're for.
I mean, obviously, this guy's doing it right because he knows that army a lot by the sounds of things.
Yeah, so that just looks like a lot of Witch Elves, 5 characters to buff them. Yeah, so
that's cool because when they first came out, I heard a lot of YouTube channels and online and all that sort of thing saying that Daughters of Cain, they're alright, they're pretty good, but they weren't really anything special. And I think at the time when they first came out, it's hard to tell because there wasn't that many tournaments at that moment where they played in them, and they hadn't really found their footing. But I'm happy to see they've done well because I do really like their models. And the only problem with that army though is it sounds like the army there, that list, did it have a lot of Witch Elves in it out of chance, or Sisters of Slaughter, or?
Right, yeah, it had 2 units of 30 Witch Elves and a unit of 10, so it was 70 of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really like the army, and if I was to do it, I know if you take the Medusa, one of the battle line units, like one of the like Medusae battle line, one of the Medusae units will become battle line.
Right.
And that's the way I take to it. But as you've just said there, if you want to do well with the army, you're going to need to buy a lot of Witch Elves, and they're not the cheapest. They're very nice, but they're not the cheapest models, are they?
Yeah, I don't really like painting flesh and faces, so I was kind of annoyed that I did the Volkites. But yeah, painting all those witch faces and then all the money on top of it, they're so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Sisters of Slaughter with the. I think
they're really cool.
Yeah, I think they're really quite unique with their masks and their their whips and all that sort of thing. But again, it's so you wouldn't have to paint the faces, but the price point of view, I mean, I'm sure you could buy let's say 30 of them. I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem, but I think when you would realise, I'm going to have to buy like probably at least another unit of 30, and then the price. I'm not saying
right, you're gonna need 70 to 90.
Yeah, I'm not saying like a lot of not saying most armies don't cost a lot of money, but you're spending a lot of money on the same model, if you see what I mean, like the same unit, which is, and like you said, you wouldn't really enjoy the painting too much, or I personally wouldn't. And if you're paying all that money and you're not really enjoying the hobby side of it, it's
a little let down.
Yeah, all they need is a start collecting box, maybe. I mean, they had like one of those. I think it was an ally box. What sold out quite quickly after Daughters of Cain had their battle time come out.
Right. Yeah. That just saves a little bit of money.
Yeah, because you still only get one unit of the daughters, don't you?
Yeah, and you can only buy it so many times because it comes with a cauldron of blood, and you only need so many of them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know how many. Maybe like 2 or 3, maybe at the most, or something. One, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But you're not going to need 9 of them, are you?
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah, I was making a Daughters of Cain has some really cool combinations. I never played it, but I had a theoretical list that I wanted to do. It was all snake ladies. I don't know about all snake ladies, but it was majority snake ladies. They were in my their battle line, and it was the ones with the staves. So the Blood Sisters, I think they're called, or the Blood Stalkers were the staff ones. The spear. So they do a mortal wound on like a 4-up, I think, like that. And then they also had a battalion that if the enemy missed, they would also take a wound. There might have mortal wound. It might have been a roll after that. I can't quite remember, but it would just pump out so many mortal wounds. Whether you were dying or hitting, the snake ladies were pumping out mortal wounds. I thought it'd be a lot of fun, and it'd be really cool because it was more of an elite army. I wouldn't have to paint up all those dang witch elves.
Yeah, I mean, and like you're saying there, that's the sort of army I wanted to go as well because yeah, it's less witch elves to paint up. Like the Medusa, the Blood Sisters, Bloodstalkers, they are really nice models, and I'm a big fan on the whole sort of Greek mythological sort of theme and all that sort of thing. You know, the Medusas and the Harpies. I know they're not called Harpies, but that's sort of what they are.
Yeah.
It would be a really nice army to do, and you know, just thinking about the patterns you could do on the snakes, and it wouldn't be too many models, you know, in comparison to a witch elf army. You could have a really good fun sort of hobby project with that, and that's something I might have to do in the future at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. So real quick, though, I want to talk about the second list too. The second player is Death. He's got Nagash. A Necromancer, a Cairn Wraith, unit of 5 Direwolves, 2 units of 30 Grimghast Reapers. So apparently people really like the Grimghast Reapers.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played with them yet or anything, but I keep on hearing them everywhere. They must be really good.
Yeah, so they're kind of an elite battle line. They have Ren 1, and they hit on 4s, I think wound on 3s, I think is what the roll is. But they have a 2-inch reach, and they have big bases. They have a 35 millimeter or 34, whatever it is, 32. The bigger base, and they have a 2-inch reach though, so they can get around that. I was forgetting about that, and they have 2 attacks. I was forgetting about that too, how pivotal that 2-inch reach is. It's because a lot of the bigger base things, I immediately saw. I was like, oh well, you're not getting fighting in ranks, so how can the Reapers do that much damage? But they have 2-inch. That's how they're doing so much damage.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, and I imagine their attack has rend as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's Ren 1.
And there's ways for them to reroll hit rolls and stuff, is there, with the guy of the locks, maybe?
Well, actually, they just automatically do it if their target is 5 or more models. They have that Cairn Wraith rule, the
like Corn, isn't it?
Like Corn.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
so yeah, it's rerolling wound rolls or rerolling hit rolls, and then they actually forgot to position their Guardian of Souls correctly, but they could have been wounding on 2s, so it'd be 4-up rerolls and then wounding on 2s. So that makes them really, really accurate and devastating.
that is really good, isn't it? I mean, I did a video, I think it was last week, about saying how to get into the Night Haunt, and I said in it that I hadn't been playing with them myself, so it was just basically the best value way to start them. But hearing, you know, you talk about them, explain them a little bit, it's like, these Reapers definitely sound like the way to go.
Yeah. I was thinking Chain Rasps, sorry. I really like the Hordes. I like them. Have a unit of 40, and I was planning on getting another unit of 40, but maybe I will not. Maybe I'll get a big old horde of Reapers.
Yeah, that might be good. The something I do like about the Chain Rasps, though, is they're really quite nice models, aren't they? I mean, if you compare them to having like a block of 40 skeletons or something, all the skeletons look the same. I mean, yeah, sure, their shield might be positioned a little more different and stuff, but they're all essentially the same model. But these Chain Rasps, they've got so much character to each little guy, isn't there?
Yeah, they are really cool.
Really, really nice Well, something I do want to get for the Nighthaunt at some point in this. I'm not rushing with the Nighthaunt, but something I would like to get is those. I think we talked about this last time. Those Banshees, the ones with like size for arms, they're awesome.
Oh yeah, I bought a box of them. They're sitting in their saran wrap because I had to work on my Nova list, but they're ready to go because I want to take the Shrieker Guard or Shrieker Host or whatever with all the ladies. That would be so cool. Oh man, that list.
That's the one battalion I like know off by heart for the Nighthaunt because it's the one where the enemy units within is it 6 inches of one of your units in that battalion. They have to reroll battleship test of 1, and your enemy cannot use Inspiring Presence on those units.
Oh man, it's so good, so good.
The first time you played it against someone would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, and then the Murmur Banshees are so brutal. I think I talked about them last time, but
yeah, you did.
It's like on them too.
The first time I looked at them, I'll be honest, I didn't think they were going to be that good. But then when you explained them and you know how you can summon them back and stuff, they were brutal by the sounds of things.
Yeah, same here. I was before Nighthaunt came out, I saw the model. I was like, oh man, Murmurs are so cool. I really hope they have a good war scroll to go along with them. And then I was like looking in the battle report because they had Murmurs in there before the rules were out. I was like, oh man, what do they do? They just spell a spell. Okay, that's not that impressive. But and then I looked at the war scroll. I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty much all they do. But after I thought about more combinations, like what if you take 12 and then start buffing that? And then that's where it kind of got crazy.
It's like, oh my god, what is this?
Right.
We don't need to say it, but again, the models are really, really nice.
Oh yeah, I kind of I bought 4 or 5 boxes of them, whatever creates 18, so I guess 4 or 16. But I kind of wish I would have at least converted a couple of them. I could have taken like maybe the Banshees from the Mortis Engine box.
Yeah, that could have worked because they're a bit. They're quite like that. You just have to maybe remove the head, or I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see after they get painted up and built, and I wonder how well 16 Murmur and Banshees will look together. Will they just look like 4 of the same model 100 times, or what? I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, if you're a bit more, probably wouldn't take that much effort, but just play around a bit more with the basing, like how they're posed. You know, because obviously, if you take one box of them and you put them all next to each other, they all look quite dynamic in their different poses. But as you say, they might repeat. So if you just sort of not even edit their poses, but just like tilt them a little bit so what direction they're sort of floating towards and all that, I think that would.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, just a very little thing. You just change the direction.
I mean, are they one of the sort of models that come so they're almost like attached to a bit of base material, like a rock or something?
Right, yeah, they're easy to build. They come with a nice scenic base, but yeah, you could totally still glue them to different positions.
Yeah, literally just that I think would be enough.
Yeah, I agree. That's good. Yeah,
because like something I will say about the new Nighthaunt models is that they are super dynamic. Like we're talking about the Daughters of Cain, because I'm just on the web page and we were talking about them, and comparing them to the Sisters of Slaughter, that sort of like jumping in the air with their chains and like really dynamic models. The Nighthaunt are like that as well. Like you said, the Reapers and these Banshees, they're not like just sort of traditional like deaths or just standing there a little bit static. Like they are really, really, like I say, dynamic, which is really nice.
Yes, yeah.
The only thing I will say though about Nighthaunt, which I wasn't very happy about when I first saw it, and nothing about the army, but the pricing point for if you want to buy 10 chain rasps by themselves. Have you seen the separate easy to build box of them?
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed they didn't come in like 20 or something like that.
Yeah, and that price is quite expensive.
Yeah, it's quite a bit for if you're trying to get a horde of 40 of them, which most people probably are.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it just makes the Soul Wars box better value really, because the is it chain rasp? Was it chain gas? It's rasp, isn't it?
Chain gas.
Chain gas. Sorry, chain.
No. I'm sorry. You're right. Chain rasp hordes. God.
Sorry, chain rasp. One of us is maybe right. Yeah. So chain rasp hordes. With them. In the Soul Wars box, obviously you get 20 of them, and the Soul Wars box costs probably £90, and you get lots of other stuff in them. If you want to buy 10 easy to build chain gas, sorry, is it gas or rasp?
Rasp.
Sorry, chain rasp horde. If you want to buy 10 of those models in a separate box, easy to build, remember, In the UK, that's going to cost you £25,
Yeah.
which is quite. I was maybe expecting 20 for 25, like you were saying.
Yeah, right.
Oh well, there's plenty of other ways to buy those models and stuff.
Yeah, just buy a couple Star Wars boxes and sell off the Stormcast stuff, or give it to your friend or something.
Yeah, if you want to be cool. But yeah, but to be honest, that's something I've been working on very slowly, but I have been trying to build and paint gradually my Stormcast half of that box, which I am ashamed. I am, yes, shame on me, like that meme from Game of Thrones. But I don't know. It's like, don't get me wrong, I do love the Nighthorn, but after you have about, I think I've got it down to about 13,000 points of 14,000 points of death now, because obviously I had to paint some more flesh-eater courts recently for no real reason, but had to be done. So now that I've got that many points of death, I'm a little bit like, there's no huge rush for me of the Nighthorns. I maybe want a little bit of a break from death, just because all my death is sort of painted the same. The flesh-eater courts are a little bit different, but the whole army is pretty much the same painted, so I just want a sort of different a change to like the sort of painting palette for me. So the Stormcast I'm doing are like from the Realm of Life, so the complete opposite. So the sort of the colours are sort of mainly like green, whites and browns, which are very different to my death, and sort of just when you go to painting something else, it just makes you a little bit more motivated for when I go back to my Nighthorn, which is the reason I'm doing it. And also the Stormcast, it's looking through their rules, and they do just seem just a little bit too good, so I really like them. Like they're like some of their things, it's like the no one please expect me to remember their names, but what are their new wizards called?
The Evocator.
Evocators, yes, that's it.
Yeah.
We look at the Evocator on the Griff Charger. Obviously, all the Evocators have that ability to bring back a Stormcast model if it dies with like one wound. You know, like when it takes its final wound, you can choose to bring the model back. I believe in one wound, rather than letting it die. So obviously you're going to do that. And then the Evocator on Griff Charger has got a spell that can heal D3 wounds. So if you bring back that model and it survives into your next hero phase, you can heal D3 wounds on it. But if you overcharge that spell, and I can't remember what you need the casting value to overcharge it, it's either 8 or 10. I want to say 10 because that seems to be a lot of things, but it is only an 8+ actually, just looking at it now. Instead of healing D3 wounds to that model, you can heal D6.
Whew, yeah.
Which is, oh no, you killed, I don't know, my Lord Citizen on Dracov. That's a notoriously hard to kill model. I'm just going to bring it back, and by accident, looks like I'm healing D6 wounds. And like I say, when I think of D6, I think of 6 all the time. So let's say you get a 6. Yay, it's on full health. Yay, nobody likes me. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. I sort of just want to torment my friend with it a little bit in the store.
Yes,
And then I'll go back to Nighthorn, because there is like, I want to do that Shrieker host for the Nighthorn. What would be really nice. And yes, I just sort of want to do a little bit of an older army, because I haven't really done that before. And I do maybe want to have, it's not going to be like probably not going to be a pure Stormcast army. Like, it's not going to be like, joking aside, it's probably not going to be that competitive, because I want to sort of mix it in with a lot of order. With basically the reason I'm doing the Stormcast army and bit of order is such a huge grand alliance. I can just make an army and just like pluck models I want and put them in, and it'll be a nice thing to do, because I would like to get those Medusae from the Dorsa Kane and the Harpies. I think they're called Canaries, aren't they? Like the Life Takers and Heart Renders. It would just be an army where I could just, like I say, just pick and choose what models I want to go into it.
Yeah, it'd be cool to paint them all kind of the same scheme, or maybe convert them a little bit, kit bash them to make them look like they're a cohesive force. I always like that idea.
Yeah, it's something I really want to sort of just play around with. And so the other thing as well, there's obviously, like most people, there's loads of armies I want to do, and there's the I was wanting to do a Sinesh army as well, but because of news from the Nova, which we'll talk about in a minute, it looks like Sinesh might be coming some point around the corner. I think I've always think January time because what was it? We had like the last January we had Nurgle. The time before that we had Zeech, and then like the year before that we had Khorne. So I feel like it's right to have Sinesh this January, so I'm going to wait to see what happens there. And of course, we also have the Beast of Chaos coming out.
Oh yeah, that'll be cool. So yeah, it's like the Legion Nagash book, but with Beastmen. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, that's another temptation for me because it's I've said quite regularly, like in my gaming store, that I would like to do Bray Herd. But the problem with Bray Herd is that they don't really have any monstrous units, so they've got all the numbers, but they haven't really got much like high damage stuff. And then War Herds, on the other hand, with the Minotaurs, they're the opposite. And it'd be nice if they could all combine together into one army and to help each other out. And they've done that. So yeah,
I hope there's a way to do a Dragon Ogre or Minotaur army. That would be so cool.
Oh, the Dragon Ogres are in this new Beast of Chaos.
I assume so. They've classically been Beasts of Chaos. I'm pretty sure
they said it in the article.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
there's it's them. You've got Monsters of Chaos in there, so that should be all the like the there's like a sub fraction of Chaos called Monsters of Chaos, which is like all the like your Slaughter Brute, your Mucileaf Beast, your Chimera, all those sorts of things, your Warhounds. They all be able to go in the army, presumably. You may even be able to get Giants in there. I don't know. They haven't said that, but I would maybe presume so. And something interesting is you can have Zangors in there. And they are very Beastman-like Zangors, of course, but I thought that was quite interesting because I thought they're very much a Zeech unit, aren't they?
I'm really glad that they did that because I was kind of annoyed that the Zangors weren't really included in any of the Beast stuff. I mean, obviously they are Zeech, like you're saying, but they always still struck me as Beastmen too. I liked the idea of having like a mixed Beastmen army, like that. I think that would be cool. Mixed gods, that is. Like there's Khorne ones. There used to be Nurgle ones. I don't think there is anymore, or maybe there still is.
Pestigores, isn't there?
Yeah,
I don't think they're actually a unit, but it's a name that goes very well together, and I've seen people do conversions and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see all four different. I don't really think I want to see the Slaanesh Beastmen, but everybody else would be cool to see them all together.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and it's not too far away. Either I believe October. I think some people did think it was coming up in September, so this month, because they sort of hinted towards that. But it's coming out in October now, which it's a bit longer away. But I'm personally in no rush, so it'd be nice to see them do it right. And they're not getting any new models. So apart from their spells, and they're getting a Herdstone, I believe the term is for it. They're getting those models, which is very nice. Some people are, again, I think everyone who likes Beastmen, of course, is a little bit disappointed that they're not getting any new units. But for me, I'm just sort of like over the moon for them that they're getting a battle tome. The fact that they're getting some spells come out and, like I say, some their Herdstone, it's a very nice bonus. So.
Yeah, I was surprised they was kind of complaining about that because a lot of the old battle tomes get nothing, and now they're getting endless spells and a really cool Herdstone model. Like both those are really cool. Legion Nagash book didn't get anything. I mean, I know we got Nighthunt later, but we didn't get anything. I think the Beastman book would be cool.
Yeah, I think where those people are coming from is I agree with you, but I think where those people come from, it's sort of like there's probably some people. I mean, I didn't play Warhammer Fantasy, but there's probably people who played Warhammer Fantasy. They've been collecting Beastmen for a long time, and then obviously in Age of Sigmar they've been sort of missing Beastmen for a while, and now that Beastmen is getting their chance, that's all they're getting, and then they're worried that that's the time of Beastmen gone after this battle time comes out, and then they're just going to move on to the next thing, and then Beastmen won't get another update for 5 years or something. That could happen, but I think realistically, like I think what we all know of Age of Sigmar, it's very much all about the new armies. It's nice to know though with the Beastmen, with the Beast of Chaos battle time coming out, they weren't going to get rid of the Beastmen army, like the war herds or the Bray herds. They weren't sort of just going to try and brush them underneath the carpet. They are going to get a battle tome, and they might be very competitive in this battle tome, or at the very least they're going to be a lot more competitive than they are at the moment. They're going to have battalions, they're going to have artifacts, they're going to have leaders abilities, and of course, like you say, they're going to have their endless spells as well. And that, like we say, that those spells in that Hearthstone model is absolutely fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
That Hearthstone.
Yeah, I like this. The endless spells are cool too.
Yeah, that ball is.
Oh yeah, I like them.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know, and I think the endless spells, the plastic's a bit cheaper and stuff compared to models, but who knows, that some clever people with modelling skills could maybe turn that ball into some sort of monster. You know, if they cut off the flame part and they try and add it on to something else. I don't know. Could be
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was kind of worried that Beastmen were never going to get anything as well, since I feel like historically, lore-wise, they've kind of been like, for a while, they've been kind of like swept under the carpet, just kind of like included in battles where the Order side needs to like really crush chaos, so they just throw Beastmen up there, like, oh yeah, we don't care if Beastmen get crushed.
Yeah, it's and, especially like in the novels and stuff as well. That always happens.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I was worried that they weren't going to bring them out and just kind of forget about them. And I thought the Zangors were kind of another sign that there wasn't really many Beastmen in the New World. And yeah,
because the Zangors have got a bit of their own. I mean, I don't know how Beastmen are, where they came from essentially, but Zangors, that's explained more, isn't it? They're sort of they're acolytes, aren't they? Who got turned into Zangors, isn't that it?
Right, yeah, I think it is something like that.
Yeah, so they're not made in the same way that normal Beastmen are made, presumably.
Right, yeah, and just Zangors just like felt like something different. They were really trying to, like, Beastmen are not really generic, but in the grand scheme of fantasy lore, Beastmen are not like unheard of outside of Warhammer, you know. So I know Games Workshop's been trying really hard to make everything copyrightable, and the Zangors, they're obviously copyrightable because they're very different from regular Beastmen. So I thought maybe that was the only way Beastmen were going to exist anymore in the new lore.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. With that, it is interesting though how Games Workshop have called this battle tome. I did presume it was going to be called Beast of Chaos, because I was sort of saying to my mate, you know, that would be a name that would make sense, but it's not the easiest name to copyright, is it?
Right, yeah.
I mean, someone put a comment on my videos, apologies, can't remember the name, but they were saying it just seems like a very odd name, you know, for them to pick, Beast of Chaos, because it sounds like it's going to be hard to copyright that, and if you think, well, Games Workshop maybe is not too bothered, they spent like the last 3 years like changing loads of their names and stuff just to make sure they get that copyright.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
like I still think Seraphon should be called Isman, but that's for another thing. But yeah, it's very nice to see they're getting a battle tome, and they will have you know, although their time might be short lived, who knows, but their time is coming.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, since we're already talking about upcoming stuff, let's move on to the Nova announcements. I mean, maybe because it's still Sunday, so maybe there's still going to be more, but I was expecting a lot more in the way of announcements. There was very little, I felt like. Yeah,
I was like that as well, and it might just be because what they've announced isn't really directed at me, for example. Doesn't really pique my interest, and there might be some stuff there with some people like fantastic. I've been waiting ages for this stuff to come out, and if that is the case, that's all good. But for me, nothing really that super piques my interest. I mean, there's the is it Speed Freaks, that new Orc game coming out?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Speed Freaks. That's it. I personally won't play that. It does look. I will say it does look really cool though. For the Orcs, there's that. If I just look through it quickly, there's a glimpse of what the Sisters of Battle are gonna look like. There that doesn't really have any relevance to me. I just look at that and I think I could possibly use those heads for maybe vampires in Age of Sigmar. Is that are you on the page now? Are you?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Is that a new knight coming out?
I thought he was already out, and I thought he was Forge World. Maybe I'm wrong about both those things. But yeah, it's like a new character knight that they're gonna have rules for.
That's cool. But again, it doesn't really relate to me because I'm not. I would like to do a knight army, but it's not that it's an expensive army compared to other things, but I don't really play 40k. There's that. There is transfers coming out for Griffin, is it?
Woo!
Is that if you click House Griffin, that's probably really cool. Again, there's like really really sort of niche things in Age of Sigmar. I like them to be like them to make that probably most people wouldn't really care about. So there's that. If there's some people been waiting ages for this, it's really nice for them. But for me, it's not in my interest. And then Warhammer 40k Kill Team, I don't play it. There's a big campaign starting in most of the stores, I believe, but I'm not a huge fan of MIDI games.
Yeah.
Personally, because they always start off sounding good, and then the interest in them in a lot of stores, anyway, ones near me, seem to die off quite quickly. There's a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, I'll get into that and stuff," and then they'll start doing it, and they'll. If it's a long campaign like this, campaign's lasting until I think it's about 3 months, and they're encouraging people to have like regular games, which and to encourage people, I think they're giving prizes and stuff, which is good. But it's one of those things that you're gonna have to have a game like once a week or once every 2 weeks is quite a lot of not demand or pressure, but it's one of those things that
I don't know.
Pardon?
I don't know about you, but like a multiple month campaign is just like too much for me. Like 1 month is kind of pushing it to get regular games in every week or however long you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Cause it's one of those things where if I really wanted to do this, I'd probably give it a solid, good effort for a whole month. I'd go in like every week for a month to try and progress through this campaign. Then when it got to the second month or the third month, I'd probably just lose interest, in all honesty.
Yeah.
But you know, if you listen to this, you might completely disagree with me, and that's cool because it's. I'm sure if you're into like, Kill Team essentially. I mean, I know what it is. It's like, you know, your small within the 40k universe, and it's, you know, your small, you know, squads of infantry. It does sound quite cool, but for me, it's just another one of those MIDI games to try and get your heads around the rules and stuff. And the rules are probably quite simple, but I'd rather just sort of not spread out into loads of different mini games. I'd rather just sort of focus a little bit. And then what other releases do we have? We have another mini game that's already been out, but it's the Warhammer Underworlds. But instead of it being Shadespire now, it is Nightvolt. I don't play Underworlds, like I haven't played Shadespire. I think I had one small game of it. It seemed quite fun, but again, I'm not really into mini games. However, this does interest me because I do like the Nighthawk models in this, particularly it's probably not the right name for her, but the sort of Banshee that's going to be included.
She's a Briar Queen, is what they called her.
Oh, Briar.
Yeah, that team is so cool. Like I was looking at them kind of in succession. I saw the Briar Queen. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. The next two are like, well, they look like cooler chain gas. And then the guy with the mask, and then the Hangman one. Oh man, they just get cooler and cooler.
Yeah, they are. It's a little bit like I was saying earlier, isn't it, with the chain rasp? That it's that character, isn't it? And obviously these have got a bit more character than the like easy to build kit, but it just shows. I believe how they are is how them, you know, their last moments of life, like basically how they were killed, and it really sort of shines in this, doesn't it?
Yeah. Even sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it looks like there's one of them has a shield as well, which is quite interesting.
Oh yeah, that's what that is, isn't it? The Stormcast team looks okay. I mean, the two guys on the sides look kind of normal, but the one in the middle with the old man looking guy, he looks kind of cool.
Yeah, he looks nice. Yeah, the Stormcast are quite a nice, and this might just be my personal opinion, but the Nighthorn look a bit more. They look a bit like the chain rasp and stuff. They look a bit more different than the easy to build ones compared to these Stormcasts. If you compare these Stormcasts to the ones that you got in the Soul Wars box, if they were next to each other, I might have to look at them for about 3 seconds before I realise they're not the same.
Yeah, the one in the middle, he looks pretty different, but the ones on the sides, they look the same.
Yeah, the ones in the middle, and I'll tell you what, I like the one in the middle. I like his staff as well, because there's, there's quite a lot going on there. I don't know why, but you see the, what are they called again, this unit?
The Evocators.
The Evocators, fantastic. Their staffs, the end of them, they just look a bit, like, sort of clumpy.
Yeah.
I've just said that I'm paying up my Stormcast now, and I am enthusiastic about them, but I'm still unsure about these guys.
It's pretty heavy on the end.
But
you can probably clobber somebody with that, but like it's pretty it's not very elegant for a mage's staff. You'd think you wouldn't want to clobber somebody with a mage staff.
No, it looks like a solid block of like lead.
Yeah.
But or iron or whatever. But no, the one in the middle is cool. They are quite nice. I do like the one on the right as well, the female one, presumably. And God, that is a big sword though, isn't it?
Yeah, that is pretty big.
The first time I saw these guys as well, the what are they called again?
The Evocators.
Evocators. Do forgive me about these names. I'm trying to learn them.
It's Evocators, isn't it? Whatever. It's with Stormcast.
It might be. I know but these guys and the big hats, they're really, really good in the game, and I might have to buy them. But ever since they came out, I think it's the scale and the proportion of them is the problem I have. Like their helmets look a bit different to what they're normally like. Obviously, I'm a bit unsure, but it's the size of that. If you look at the female one on the right, it's the size of that sword. Which you're going to have to get a picture of this when you edit the video, just so.
Yeah.
But can you? Does that get sheathed or? Like, I don't. It
just sits around all the time.
Yeah, I mean it's not important at all, but for me it's, and I wouldn't even notice it if I built and painted it, but I don't know.
Man, it's got to be like 10 inches wide, like if it was real life.
It's like the Knight of Shrouds all over again, isn't it? When he had his bloody. When he came on foot and he had like a little scabbard to put his sword in, but it's scabbard.
Oh yeah, a giant sword.
Yeah, this is. I mean that. Bear in mind, she's not the size of a person. Like obviously she's a bit bigger, a Stormcast. That sword has got to be about a foot wide, I reckon.
Yeah.
And it's not even like she's wielding it with two hands either.
Yeah, she's got the other stick of lead on the other hand.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's her. I mean, like the bloke on the other end. I don't know how he's doing it either.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that sort of minor point, the only reason I was sort of talking about that for ages is because there's not really a lot of Age of Sigma stuff mentioned in this Nova stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got that. If you're interested in Underworlds, it looks like this will be a nice new addition to it. We've got a Flying Squig, which.
Yeah, so it's an upcoming warband, and they also showed a troll a couple weeks ago. So I imagine Moonclan Grots are getting like a troll squig combination. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's another hint to Moonclan Grots.
Ooh, I hope so.
That would be awesome. I mean, I think that's all. Moonclan Grots is probably an army that we all sort of like want to do from the hobby side of things. We're just sort of waiting for them to get a new release. I mean, like. I don't know who can't like orcs and goblins and stuff. They are really nice. And the only thing, though, I thought when I saw that troll that came out, was it too many mushrooms? That's the only...
I think I thought the same thing. I was like, there's maybe too much going on, but I'll wait till I see it in real life.
Exactly. And I think if you have that theme across the whole army, it could work really well.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, that's cool. Yes, squigs can fly, so that's good. And what did it say? Like, there's like a little word here that just said Squid versus the Eldritch horrors of a time lost prison. It's a matchup you never knew you needed. Which I look forward. I generally, out of everything I've seen here, that's what I look forward to most, to seeing what that's all about. And then when we get down to the actual Age of Sigma stuff coming out, because the Night Vault stuff is Age of Sigma, but when they sort of put down their categories. The only thing there is in the realm of chaos, and this looks like it's called the realm of chaos, wrath and rapture, and this looks like a hint towards like I was saying earlier about the Slaanesh getting a release.
Yeah, when you watch it, it has a female voice actress, and it shows Khorne and Slaanesh fighting, or Demonettes and Bloodletters fighting, and it really does sound like Slaanesh is coming out.
Yeah, that is really quite nice.
I kind of had a suspicion that it's probably a totally false suspicion, but that they're not going to get new models. It's probably wrong, probably totally wrong. But
I feel like it's going to be a massive letdown.
Yeah.
Just because I still feel like they're going to get a release sort of like Nurgle and Tzeentch did in January to keep up that sort of theme they've been doing every January. But this video does sort of, it gives me a bit of doubts because it is literally just sort of like it's like a pan shot of it, of a bit of artwork, and it's not much to go by. But the Demonettes that are in this artwork, they do look very much the same as the ones that are already out, and that's not really much to go by because when Tzeentch, Khorne and Nurgle, when they got their updates, the demons stayed the same. But I just sort of feel like this Realm of Chaos, it could just be like a sort of a box set with like demons from like all 4 of the gods in this box set, and it's just like a bundle box of demons.
Yeah,
and not really much to it.
Yeah, same like little things are kind of glaring to me that I'm having doubts about it. And the whole like it's Realm of Chaos. It doesn't say anything about Slaanesh specifically, even though the voice actress makes you think Slaanesh. But Realm of Chaos is very generic, and maybe this is just like a precursor to Slaanesh, though, possibly too.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if it is a precursor to it, because and the woman who did the voice acting is absolutely fantastic. I believe she sounds very much like the one who did the Nighthawk one and did the Daughters of Cain. But I think they do say they will let you know more soon. I believe what they're talking about, the Wrath and the Rapture, the Realm of Chaos. But I think it would have been nice just to have a little bit more of information.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like, and again, if you guys do really like box games and like mini games, I don't mean any offense or anything like that when I say this, but I just hope this isn't going to be a sort of a box game, like a mini game, like another Skirmish or Silver Tower or Shadespire. I hope it's actually an Age of Sigma release. I presume it is because it's under the Age of Sigma title, but I hope it's not a. Do you sort of see what I mean?
Right. I do kind of expect it to be a box game, though. But I do think it could also be a precursor to Slaanesh, though. Yeah,
that'd be cool. And again, if it's a box game, it could be a good way to buy, a bundle worth of models. But if you're getting models from all 4 of the gods in it, most people are only going to be interested in 1 or 2 of those gods, rather than.
Yeah.
So, but it's just speculating, isn't it? So I'm not going to be too critical about it at all. It sounds cool. It's a good little video, and we'll have to wait to see what it is.
Yeah, maybe it's like a box of all the gods, and then maybe Slaanesh gets a new model or something like that.
That would be cool. I think what Slaanesh will get when it does get its release is probably more on the mortal side, maybe.
Yeah, right.
There are some things where it does need, though, like the Fiend of Slaanesh, I believe, like their sort of monstrous unit. Maybe could do with a little bit of an update. Maybe
I don't know, an anteater with 8 boobs and whatever else. I think that's pretty cool. Crab claw, anteater, 8 boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's very good. And those it does look like it's quite an old anteater by the judging by how those boobs look like. But it's one of those things where, like, I'd like to do a Slaanesh army generally at the moment, and I'd like to obviously have that in my army because it's a variety of units, and it's like one of the only things in the army that does more than 1 damage. But I just wouldn't be able to put it in a cabinet.
Right. You'd have to convert it, every one of those.
I'd have to. I mean, how I looked at doing it was because they come on the same size basis as the Medusai. So I was going to use. You're gonna have to remind me of the name, but the Stormcast who are just above it. What are they called again? The ones I want to call them Evocators, but that's not them, is it?
The evocators.
Evocators, yeah. That's what they are. That's what we're calling them. I was going to use the top half of them on top of the snake body of the Medusae and just see how that worked out as a trial.
Yes, cool idea.
Use them as fiends or use them as, because they come in the same size base, or maybe even like Chosen or Slanesh, something like that. But if Slanesh is going to get an update, I'm not going to waste lots of money on conversion ideas. But yeah, and maybe the Keeper of Secrets could do with a. It is the Keeper of Secrets.
That would be great. It is, yeah, Keeper of Secrets.
I mean, the question is, which, if you could only pick one of them to be in your army, what would you rather have? The Keeper of Secrets model or the Fiend of Slanesh? That's the real question.
I guess the Keeper's a little bit cooler. He's pretty dated, but I think he looks cool still.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's dated,
but he's not even comparable to the other three. Like like the other three just look so awesome.
It's also the size difference.
Yeah,
it's like when I was looking at doing because it was only like over the last week I was thinking about doing Slanesh Army. Obviously, I looked at Forge World at their Greater Demon, and that is very, very nice. But that, I mean, if there's anyone listening to this who's got one of those, I mean, I can only imagine it must break all the time, mustn't it? Even if you're really, really careful, It must so spindly and so many. It's probably best to leave that. But no, so it'll be cool to see what they do with them. And like we're going to say, we're just going to have to wait and see with this. So and then that moves on to the Middle-earth strategy battle game that Games Workshop has tried to bring back to life.
I don't know about you, but I have always waited for a miniature of Gandalf with Pippin on his horse. I've always waited for that moment.
I thought I was the only one. I've really, really waited for this, and finally it's here. So that's great. Joking aside, like Lord of the Rings, it's arguably my favourite, film trilogy. So I watched it when I was a kid and all that sort of thing, and I do love Lord of the Rings, and like I might even be interested in getting into it in the game, but there's just no one who plays it. Yeah, and I do like the models; they are nice, but for me, their scale is so small in comparison. It's obviously it's a different miniatures game, so that's fair enough. But I don't know. It's like one of those things like you have to do quite a bit of effort to get into it because you're going to have to try and get your friends and stuff to play it as well. And I do love the films and all that sort of thing, but I want it to do well, the miniature game, but I'm personally not going to take part in it.
Right, yeah, I agree completely. I love the movies. I love seeing the models too. The Gandalf one, but every iteration of them, they all look great. But yeah, I don't like the scale. I don't like painting faces, and if you're gonna do any of the main characters, like you gotta paint a character full face. Like it's Aragorn. You gotta know it's Aragorn.
And you've got to love to paint and build metal as well. Because when I went to Warhammer World, like I was saying about 2 or 3 months ago, I did have a look there at the stuff, and I was just surprised to see just how much of it is metal compared to plastic. Quite a lot of the units are plastic, but a lot of the characters are metal or resin. There's very, very few that are plastic. Even the Hobbit ones from Games Workshop and from Forge World, you expect to see a few plastic ones for there, but no, they're all resin.
Right.
And if you want to go on the Forge World side, that's quite expensive.
It is, right.
It's like I don't know their names, but the Iron Hill like dwarf chariot with the rams pulling it.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool.
From
Forge World, that is absolutely fantastic. Really nice. And I saw them painting stuff when I was up there, and it was really nice. It was that nice that it makes you think, oh, I want to get into this. But like that model was quite small in comparison to a lot of other things, and it was £100.
Yeah.
And that's like, if I was to compare it to the size of Archaon, as an example, it just shows how quite specialist it is. And but yeah, like I say, Lord of the Rings, I'd really like it to do well because, like I said, I really like Lord of the Rings. But it's like I don't really have time to get into another game either. But I don't have loads of interest into getting into it.
Yeah, no one around. Yeah, I don't want to build a whole army. And yeah, that's most of the announcements. They also announced Warhammer Quest in the 41st Millennium. That's kind of a cool idea. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I like the idea of that. I'd be interested to see.
Warhammer Quest is one of the things I do wish they put more effort into, because I would actually try to get a group to keep playing that if there was more content.
Yeah, I've like I said, when I don't play many box and like many box games and all that sort of thing, I don't really. But the one I have played twice, so probably the one I've played the most is Silver Tower, and that was fun. Warhammer Quest, because I'm not saying it's the only box game like this, but I did really like the random side to it. Part of the Silver Tower, because it was Zeech's tower and the tiles change the whole time and things jump out of you, and it's so much randomness comes down to dice rolling, which was quite nice. I mean, I think when I played it once, I don't know the names of anything that happens in it, but I'm going to call it an ability. An ability happened that turn, which made all the heroes in the Silver Tower feel like they were being looked upon by gods that are controlling their every movement, which of course were the players. So they just refused to do anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool narrative. I like the game mechanics in general with like the 4 action dice or whatever it was, but I like that idea. The random battles was really cool. It just felt like you're playing like a. I mean, I haven't played too many RPGs. I played like a couple Dungeons and Dragons games, but like it was completely off the books. Like a person was just making it up. It wasn't out of one of the books. So I don't know if this is a normal thing, but it just felt like you're playing like an RPG video game almost, just with your friends.
Yeah, which is nice, and just like I say, it's the nice thing. Like you say, it's like playing one of those video games, but it's not a video game, which is the nice part of it. I don't know how to explain it, but it's sort of, it feels a bit more exciting or a bit more social. Like when you're all there around the same table and all that sort of thing. And I don't
more interactive and real life, obviously.
Exactly. It's it's exactly the same feeling compared to playing a tabletop Warhammer game compared to playing a computer game. It's your own models on the table. It's yeah, I don't know. It's more Warhammery. I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Term for it. But yeah, so that'll be nice. It'd be interesting to see how that gets on with that, and then that's it, isn't it, for the Nova stuff so far?
Yeah. One thing we skipped though. Chapter Approved 2018 is coming up next month. This month. I am pretty happy about that. I would like to see how much they change things. The big FAQ will be out, I think, this month as well. I really want to see how that, because right now the most popular 40k list is Imperial Knights, Blood Angels, and Astra Militarum, like Imperial Guard, all at the same time. It's like 3 different detachments, and like for a soup army, like a random selection of 3 armies to be that commonplace, it's just like, oh man, it's really, really boring. Like, we know what you're going to bring if you brought Blood Angels. We know what you brought if you brought Knights. It's just like the guard part is kind of a little bit tweaked from person to person. And then on top of that, Astra Militarum are taken in just about every Imperium list. Like, I have Adeptus Mechanicus, and I've been playing Mono Faction this entire time, and I realized I'm really nerfing myself. I'm really handicapping myself by not taking a small detachment of Astra Militarum. Like, there's just almost no downside to my current army swapping out a few of my AdMech troops for Astra Militarum to get more command points, to get more screen. Like, it's annoying that I feel stupid not taking something like that. Like, I feel stupid taking a mono army.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I haven't played 4K, but I know what you mean. Like back in the day with Fleshy Courts when I used to take them to tournaments. For me, anyway, there was only one sort of battalion that worked. What was the Dead Watch Battalion, which was basically making your army crit flares, which I took, and it did okay. But for me anyway, I felt like I'd be wrong to take anything else apart from that to a tournament. And there were some people using the Ghoul Patrol Battalion, and that worked out well. But it's that thing, isn't it, where you've got an army and you feel like, I would like to add that in or that in, but why would I? It's just better to stick to like the same list everyone else has taken.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if it is the case in this Age of Sigmar 2nd edition, it might have changed, but every time I fought against a Khorne Demon army at a tournament, back in the last edition, every single time it would be a murder host.
Yeah, right.
Which is, all the bloodletters run up turn 1, and I'm not, the person can bring whatever they want, and if that's the best thing for them to bring, most competitive thing, they should bring it. But it just got a bit, like you're saying, a bit the same. So this new chapter 3, when it comes out, I imagine it will just shake the meta up a little bit.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, I know they saw the result for Nova. It was like, my friend told me, I haven't double checked this, but it was like something like 30 players for the Invitational. I might be getting all these numbers wrong, but the proportions I think are right. It was like 30 players for the Invitational, and like 14 of them or something like that had Blood Angels, Astra Militarum, Imperial Knights. It's like the same armies. Almost half of the tournament is the same army. That's a problem.
Sounds pretty boring.
Right.
Which, and it's unfair because, there's some people who generally like those armies, and it's like, as an example, I've been playing Death for a long time, and then when Legions of Nagash Battletome came out, I started taking Nagash to tournaments, and there was a lot of other people doing it, and not that people would say this or anything, but you sort of got the essence from some people. It's like, oh, not another Nagash army, that sort of thing to fight. But it wasn't my, for me anyway. I was doing Death before it became popular, and it's just the way it is. Like, there might be a lot of people who like to take Blood Angels to tournaments, and they've been doing it all along. And now that they've become really good, they're still taking them, but they just take them because they like them.
Yeah.
But it's one of, the meta always sorts itself out. If anything becomes too powerful, changes happen and it comes down.
Yeah, GW has been doing a good job of that. I will definitely give them that.
Yeah.
And I trust that they will do something to this soup, this iteration of soup.
Yeah, I imagine they will. They seem to be, like I say, really good at staying on top of things. They have a lot of, they listen to a lot of voices in the community as well. A lot of tournament, goers and all that. They have they have a team, don't they? Is it only the faithful? They're like their playtest, like for Age of Sigmar anyway. They're like their playtesters.
Oh, I'm not sure.
They have they listen to the community a lot more than they used to.
Exactly. Yep.
So I'm sure that will balance out.
Yeah. So, do you have any more? That's all I got. I was just talking about Nova basically. It's pretty much everything that came out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. So that's all that's come from Nova. What I will say is we are recording this on the Sunday of the Nova weekend. So, and when do you think this will get posted up later this week, won't it, this video?
I'm going to try to get it done today or tomorrow. I'll try to get it done next day or two.
Okay, that's awesome. But so all I'm trying to say is that if there's anything that comes out like Sunday evening, we might miss that in this video, but I think that's pretty much everything they're gonna announce, isn't it? I mean, it's getting quite late, isn't it, on the weekend?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I was expecting a lot more, but I guess my expectations were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, also Warhammer Fest. The Warhammer Fest, we did have a crazy amount come out of that.
Yeah, right. I wasn't expecting that, but that was quite a bit that came out for that.
So maybe we got to lower expectations a little bit. Just
yeah, I think Nova, they were really pushing their streaming, so maybe they focused a lot on that instead of announcements, which unfortunately I missed a lot of the streaming. I put on Warhammer Community yesterday, and I was like, oh great, the Twitch, I can catch it because I didn't even know it was on the site because I don't have a Twitch account. I go on their site. I was like, oh wow, I can start watching, and they're like, all right, we're signing off now. Check us out tomorrow. And it's like, oh man.
Yeah, that must be annoying. I haven't been able to watch so much of it myself, but I have got Twitch on my phone. And it does come up with a notification every time they start recording, and they've been doing a lot of recording. I mean, they've like I can't remember what came off my phone earlier, but it was something along the lines of here we are, NOVAopen International Final Warhammer 40,000 Grand Tournament Day 4. So they've been recording like for 4 days straight.
Yeah,
Just a long time. So fair enough if maybe they haven't done so much on the community article, because the community is essentially their recording. But no, there's plenty of more things to come out. There's also like something that would have taken up more space on this if they decided to not tell us about the Beast of Chaos release, and they would just stick it onto the Nova. That would have absolutely made this article quite a lot bigger. So it's just things like that, I think. And for Age of Sigmar anyway, they've done a big release lately. I mean, I don't know if I said it on my channel yet, but I've been saying in my story, it's almost too much has been coming out for it to try and keep on top of it all.
Right. I wouldn't expect too much more for Age of Sigmar this year. Maybe one more battle tome after the Beastman book, but I bet it won't be like a whole slew of new models like Nighthaunt or something like that.
No, which is I think is understandable. I mean, if you're one of those people that this year you didn't see your army get anything, and I don't know, you have one of the smaller armies, their time will come. But everyone has got something out of the new edition, with like just the spells, for example.
Yeah, right.
Which is nice, and I'm happy for them to slow down a bit with Age of Sigmar stuff, just so we can all sort of catch our breath with it and let the meta sort of settle a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think that's about all we got for today. This is the Twinnedcoot. If you're watching me, or if you're watching this on Age of Nagash's channel, I do War Scroll reviews. I have 40k content and Age of Sigmar, mostly Age of Sigmar, but a lot of tactical stuff. So yeah, check me out on there at Twinnedcoot.
And this is Age of Nagash. So if you're listening to this on the Twinnedcoot YouTube channel, make sure to check out my channel. I do mainly like sort of death reviews and basically talking about my experience of death since I've been playing ever since Age of Sigmar. And I do many things. I talk about different units. I talk about what could potentially come out in the future, reviews on different armies, how to get into armies, lots of different things. So if you're interested in death, feel free to come over and check out my channel.
Yep, and we'll both leave the description of the other person's channel or the link to our channel in the description. Yeah.
Yeah, of course we will. So yeah, I think that's about it. Of course we'll try and do another one of these videos in the next month or so, when I'm sure we'll have more information, and who knows, by the time we do the next one of these videos, Beast of Chaos might be out, and
yeah, that'd be cool.
That. So as always, I'll thank you guys very much for watching this. I thank you, Twinnedcoot, for letting me come on your channel. And remember, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.